Most of us were taught that effort is the answer. If something isn't working, just push harder, stay later, take on more work. And for a while, that works, and then it doesn't. Today, I want to talk to you about why working harder eventually stops working and what has to change when it does. If we're honest, effort is usually the first lever we pull because it's familiar. It feels responsible, and early on it gets results. But at a certain point, effort stops compounding. And when that happens, doubling down doesn't move us forward. It actually just wears us down. That's not a motivation problem. That's a leverage problem. Here's the pattern most of us fall into. When results slow down, we assume the issue is capacity. So what do? We add more hours. We take on more tasks. We add more pressure to ourselves. What we rarely question is whether we're solving the right problem in the first place. Because effort is easy to measure. Direction is not. And that's where things quietly break. Once effort becomes the default solution, we stop asking the better questions. We ask, how do I get through this week? Instead of asking, why does this even require me at all? Because that shift matters. Because effort solves the short-term problems. Direction solves the recurring problems. And most of the things that are draining us right now are recurring. There's an idea that shows up again and again in leadership thinking. High performers don't stall because they lack work ethic. They stall because they keep asking how instead of who. And when we stay stuck in how mode, everything depends on us. Our energy becomes the bottleneck. Our calendar becomes the constraint. And no amount of hustle fixes that. At some point, the role has to change. Not from lazy to disciplined, but from doer to decision maker. That doesn't mean we stop working. It means the work shifts. Our values move upstream into choosing, prioritizing, and deciding. And that shift can feel uncomfortable. Especially if effort has always been how we've proven our worth. That discomfort is important because when effort stops working, it's usually a signal, not a failure. It's a signal that the system needs to change, not our intensity. And until we respond to that signal, burnout becomes inevitable. Not because we're weak, but because we're misaligned. So here's one simple place to make this real. It's not a framework, it's not a plan, it's just one simple move. This week, notice what problem you're solving over and over again. And then ask yourself this question, quietly but honestly. Why does this keep on coming up? Why does this keep on coming back to me? And then don't delegate it just yet. Just notice whether it's an effort problem or a decision problem. That awareness alone changes how you show up. Because once we see where effort is masking a lack of leverage, we can finally make better choices. Not louder ones, not harder ones, but better ones. If we're leading clients, teams, and families, this matters. This matters a lot. Because people don't just feel our effort, they inherit our patterns. When we model exhaustion, they learn endurance. When we model clarity, they learn direction. And direction always scales better than effort. If this episode changed the way that you're thinking about working harder, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with somebody who's running on effort and effort alone and starting to feel the costs. You can watch the full episode on YouTube or listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Remember, working harder is never the answer. Leverage is. Until next time, I'm Mike Collier. This is The Leverage Lounge. Let's work smarter, not harder.